Look what we got back for the week, the CX90.
It's always better to have a longer test drive, so let's get at it.
There we go, sport mode. Feel the power. It does sound good.
Okay, before we go on, Andrew, I just want to say something. In Canada, this is called a Mazda. In the United States, you call it Mazda, the only country in the world that calls it Mazda, by the way. Just saying. So right now, we're going to tell you what's under the hood of this CX90.
The gas model has two powertrain options. We're driving the high output 3.3 liter inline 6 turbo with an 8-speed automatic transmission, 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque with premium fuel. You can put regular fuel in this model, but you get a little less horsepower, 319. The torque number stays the same.
So the base engine is the same engine, but it does produce less horsepower, 280 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. You can put regular fuel in this model. The CX90 comes standard with a rear bias all-wheel drive system. There's also, we don't have it here today, obviously, the plug-in hybrid version. We have done a video on that, so click on the link here. We're hoping to get that one back soon too. Right now, Andrea, what are the key standard features? Everybody wants to know.
The base trim comes with a 7-inch driver display, a 10.25-inch center display with Mazda Connect, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, manual front seats, heated front seats, black cloth upholstery, 8-speaker audio system, 8-passenger seating, MI Drive, keyless entry, and iActive Sense safety features including blind spot monitoring and rear cross-traffic alert. In the US, heated front seats are not standard, but 7 or 8 passenger seating is available on the base model. Other standard features in the US include a power driver's seat and leatherette upholstery.
Well, you already heard our launch in sport mode. What else can we put it in?
Got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below. So when we go on the launch events, and we have driven this already, but it's only really for a few hours. Now you've driven it for a week, Andrea. What do you think over there?
Well, I think I like it even more. It reminds me of every other Mazda. You've got this engaging drive. It's dynamic. Kind of fun for a 3-row SUV. The suspension is a little firmer, the steering heavier, just the way I like my vehicles.
Okay, there's a few things I'm not loving though, Andrea. I think that this new 8-speed automatic transmission that doesn't have a torque converter, it's got a clutch back. I find that it can be jerky at times, and sometimes it's a little lazy to downshift, even in sport mode. Now, you can use paddle shifters, but I'm just saying generally I find it stumbles at times. And also I find the inline 6-cylinder is kind of noisy at startup, but that calms down when it gets warmed up.
I have the same problem with the transmission. When you are accelerating quickly from a stop position, or okay, I'm on the highway at highway speeds, I'm going to pass now, I've got my foot right to the floor of the accelerator pedal, and there is a slight delay. I also found that with the plug-in hybrid as well.
But the thing is that this is software. They can tweak that as the time goes along, and also this is all new. This is a new engine, new drivetrain, new all-wheel drive system, new platform, so there probably are going to be some tweaks and technical service bulletins that come out, but that's one area getting more chance to drive it where I noticed it for sure.
Yes, it needs to have a few tweaks done, but like we both said, this is a new powertrain option, and hopefully Mazda can make some adjustments. The other thing I noticed is when you bring the vehicle to a complete stop, there's kind of like this clunk sound. And I don't know if it's the start stop or what it is.
It's going down to first gear. It's like it's you come to a stop and then it engages, it gets it ready for first gear. I don't know. It's something that I've noticed. It's not perfect yet, but it's pretty damn good. The other thing I noticed, Andrea, driving it here at home on our streets and where we live, the steering, like true to form with Mazda products, is quite heavy. So if you're somebody that wants an easy, tossable, light, maneuverable SUV, might not be your choice.
But you know, when you're going down a twisty road and you're going left and you're going right, it just handles incredibly well. It maneuvers with you. It feels planted.
That's probably also because of the rear bias all-wheel drive, Andrea.
Yeah, the rear bias all-wheel drive system will help in the corners for sure.
All right, so the outside of this, they always give us this fabulous red color. It really is a smart-looking vehicle, especially with the chrome accents this particular one has. And I gotta say that I think it's one of the more handsome three-row SUVs.
Yeah, I think it really looks sophisticated and elegant looking. This is called Artisan Red. This gets 8.1 inches of ground clearance. It comes standard with LED headlamps, LED tail lamps, 18-inch wheels, available 19 and 21-inch, plus a temporary spare tire.
So they always give us the top model, which is a disappointment because two things: I like to drive the inline six with the less power,
yeah,
and I'd also like to see the interior without the big screen, without the digital instrument cluster and what it looks like. I will say though, there's no shiny hard plastic anywhere on the inside of this cabin. I can't find it anywhere.
I mean, they have really created an elegant experience within this cabin. I really don't believe that there is any non-luxury brand that can touch this interior. It is that beautiful. Now, of course, I'm talking about the top trim, but we have been in plenty non-luxury top trim models in the three-row SUV category, which is fierce, very competitive, and they just don't match up to this.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people want to know, with the screen, can you use it as a touch screen? And you can use it,
yeah,
while we're moving. Now that is a new revolution and revelation from Mazda.
Now we are in wireless Android Auto right now. So when you are not in it, we have tried it. It is not a touchscreen, but we have heard from Mazda head office that apparently there's a deep dive. We have figured it out yet, but there's a deep dive into the system and the screen can be a touch screen.
Apple Android touchscreen. I still prefer the wheel in the center. It just keeps it clean, no fingerprints, volume knobs there. This is my kind of thing.
I also think the screen sits way too far back to even use it as a touch screen unless you are not moving. So you're better off to use the center console dial.
So we're in the top trim, gets the big screen, some features like the 360 camera, but what do most people buy? Like, what is the best value trim?
Well, don't get the high output engine, because I already think that you're getting enough power in the standard engine when you look at the horsepower and torque numbers. So the best value trim in Canada goes to the GT model. It's just over $55,000 and you get a lot of great features, including 7-passenger seating, leather trimmed upholstery, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a Bose sound system, just to name a few. Now, some key features missing on this trim include driver seat memory, ventilated front seats, a power passenger seat, and of course these larger 12.3-inch screens.
In the United States, it's called the Premium Plus model with the same base standard engine for just $53,000. It gets you all the features the high output top trim gets. It's a 7-passenger vehicle, and you also get the larger 12.3-inch screens. So are you telling me in the United States you don't have to go to this top trim to get the bigger screens and things? I think we should start calling it a Mazda now.
Yeah, you got it. In the US, you've got some great trim levels with some excellent features. You don't have to go up to the top trim.
Now, speaking of the extra seats, here's me getting in the second row of this top trim. I should say right off the bat, the center console is not removable, but there is good leg room and headroom. You can slide the seats fore and aft and recline them, of course, but that center console doesn't come out.
Comparing the CX90 to the Kia Telluride and Honda Pilot, the CX90 offers some good front row legroom at 41.7 inches, but the Telluride has over 2 inches more. Second row legroom falls short amongst these competitors at 39.4 inches.
You slide the second row forward and you can climb into the rear seats. I would call the space back here adequate. It certainly isn't the biggest.
The CX90's third row legroom at 30.4 inches is smaller than both of these competitors, with the Pilot offering 2 inches extra legroom.
And then you lift the power liftgate at the back and you get a useful cargo space. You can lift up the floor and there's extra storage under there. You have to take out that bottom compartment, but it's worth it because look at that, a real spare tire.
Cargo space behind the third row is small at 14.9 cubic feet. The Telluride has the most, an extra 6 cubic feet. Overall cargo space for the CX90 comes in at 74.2 cubic feet, which is the smallest amongst these competitors.
There's a lot of interest in this, so let's get to your questions.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Any chance we can get a more analog driver cluster like on the Mazda CX-90 on lower trim levels?
I don't know anything about that. Research department?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay, now I know. By the way, ask me again. Oh, yeah, you can get an analog cluster.
Yeah, in fact, in Canada, the top trim signature model gets the 12.3-inch digital driver display. It's the only one that gets it. Now, in the US, it's the Premium Plus model that gets the 12.3-inch digital driver display. So anything below that gets the analog.
Which brings me back to the point I made earlier in the video. I would really like to drive this with, the base model, or not the base model, the one most people are going to buy. They always ship us the most expensive top trim.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to see what people are really driving.
Yeah, same here, because this top trim is absolutely gorgeous, but I would like to see some lower trims for sure, especially since this is just a 6-passenger vehicle on the top trim. I love the looks and the power of this vehicle. Does the signature trim come with a second row bench seat option? Well, I guess I kind of just answered that. It does not. It's a 6-passenger vehicle with captain's chairs, and also the center console is not removable.
On some of the lower trims with captain's chairs, it does have a removable center console, but not on this one. You know what's going to happen, Andrea? Instead of sliding the seats forward, kids are just going to climb over top of that.
Probably.
And it's going to look like ass in about a month. One of the reasons why, again, we'd like to get something that, most people are going to buy instead of this top trim.
The first video we did on the CX90, that was a big complaint, actually, that why can't bench seats be offered across the board on all trims? We see it with the Honda Pilot. They have it as an 8-passenger vehicle on all trims except for the Trail Sport. You can remove that middle seat.
So we asked this to not a Mazda or Mazda engineer, but the chief engineer of the Grand Highlander.
Yeah.
And so because we had him cornered, we thought we'd ask him, why is it when most brands go to the most expensive trim, they get rid of the middle seat in the second row? And he said because they want to be able to hit their towing and fuel economy numbers. The more expensive trims have more equipment in them, therefore the weight is higher, and then you have to add in the weight of an extra passenger in the middle seat. That might impact the towing capacity of the vehicle, so they take out the seat to save weight.
So I just want to know why Honda can do it then.
Yeah, how come Honda can do it?
Honda, how come you can do it? How do you think this CX90 compares to other mainstream brands, such as the Kia Telluride, Hyundai Palisade, and even the new refreshed VW Atlas?
Well, back to the point I've been making already. I'd like to drive not this top signature trim, because this has got all the fancy stuff in it, but what's it really look like? Because if you compare it to the Telluride and Palisade, theirs are pretty fancy too.
Yeah, theirs are definitely nice. I think the Telluride top trim looks beautiful, as does the Palisade. I still think that this has an elevated interior. The materials in here are absolutely gorgeous. We have got this tan interior with an Alcantara dash. It's beautiful. For the VW Atlas, if we look at the model today that's available, unfortunately, to me, I just think there's a lot of plastic in it.
Plastic, fantastic, Andrea.
Volkswagen does say that this new 2024 model, which we haven't been in yet, has less plastic. So we will see about that.
And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
With Mazda attempting to go premium, do you think this CX-90 can truly be considered a budget BMW? Or do you think they still have a long way to go to be compared to even entry luxury like Acura, Lexus, Genesis?
Now, a lot of people just automatically jump to this as a BMW rival because it's got an inline 6-cylinder, a rear bias all-wheel drive system, 8-speed automatic transmission. Sounds a lot like a BMW X5. But it isn't a BMW, it's just Mazda's take on a 3-row family SUV. And one of the big differences is they have been making inline 6-cylinders like forever, since Moses was a boy. And they have got it perfected. The fuel economy on those inline 6s is great. On this one, we're not even getting close to the real numbers.
No, we're not at all. I mean, we have had it in sport mode. I mean, obviously keeping it in normal mode is a better idea. But if you're getting an engine like this, don't you want to have a little bit of fun?
I want to have a little fun.
You know, drive it in sport mode. I also find that in sport mode, the transmission is a little bit quicker than in normal mode. Now, comparing it to premium brands like Acura and Lexus and Genesis,
I think you're there.
I think they are totally there. So the MDX has less power than this high output CX90 engine, and it costs more. The MDX tech model, their base model, is $68,000 Canadian. And this top signature trim is $63,300 Canadian. So there is a difference. There are things that I prefer in this CX90 over the MDX. The traditional shifter, the dial at the center console, the trackpad in the MDX drives me crazy.
Doesn't it drive you cuckoo?
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
So yeah, you can get a more powerful MDX. It's called the Type S, but that's even more expensive. So I think on numbers, this one has them beat.
Now, don't get me wrong, the MDX is a beautifully handling vehicle. It drives like a larger sedan. It also feels quite planted. And when you accelerate in the MDX, it goes.
So we've kind of touched on the price a little bit. We'll get more into that, towing capacity, fuel economy, and our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The base trim starts at just under $46,000 and the top signature trim is just over $63,000. In the US, the base trim starts at just under $40,000 and the top trim is just under $60,000.
Here's the fuel economy for this high output inline 6-cylinder. 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers city, 8.5 on the highway. That's 23 miles per gallon city, 28 miles per gallon highway. The CX-9 can tow 5,000 pounds, and Mazda offers a warranty of 3 years with unlimited kilometers in Canada, or 3 years and 36,000 miles in the United States. So the market is full of mid-sized 3-row SUVs. We've chosen 4 that compete against this.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Kia Telluride with a 3.8-liter V6, 291 horsepower, and a starting price just over $50,500.
The Toyota Highlander with a 2.4-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 264 horsepower, and a starting price of $45,500.
The Volkswagen Atlas with a new 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder coming for 2024. It has 269 horsepower and the pricing starts at $50,000.
The new Honda Pilot with a 3.5-liter V6, 285 horsepower, and a starting price just under $53,000.
So there are 4 3-row SUVs for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improved.
I think Mazda has created a beautiful 3-row SUV.
The interior on this top trim certainly is beautiful.
I'd like them to fix the transmission, make some tweaks so that it's a little bit smoother.
And some people might find the steering a little too heavy.
Super impressed with this CX90. It now competes with premium brands like Acura.
Still want to try the base model though. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.